First, the highlights. Lagos state government moves to protect groundwater resources. Federal government expresses concern over rising prices of food and other commodities. On the foreign authorities arraigned 4 suspects in court over Kenya gas explosion. In sports, Nigerian forward Victor Osimhen gets clearance to join teammate ahead AFCON semi-final clash against South Africa. Now the details. I am Taiwo Baruwa. To avoid the depletion of groundwater resources and for effective water governance, management and regulations, the Lagos state government has organized a stakeholders engagement to protect the sector. The forum was put together by the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources and Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission LASWACO. Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokumba Wahab, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, Office of Water Resources and Drainage Services, Mahmood Adigbite, called on stakeholders to collaborate with the state to manage groundwater resources, harping on the need to start using data to deal with issues.
The very first thing to understand the fact that we all need to treat groundwater as a rare resource. Since such an important resource for the state, it's such an important resource, we need to make sure that we manage it in a sustainable manner.
Executive Secretary of LASWACO, Funke Adepoju, noted that the move was necessary to ensure regulations are adhered to and enforcement will be strengthened to allow total compliance by all stakeholders to safeguard the environment. While speaking to the socio-economic impact of unregulated groundwater abstraction in a sedimentary terrain, a case of Lagos State, a professor from the University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Olufemi Idowu, describes the engagement as an opportunity to take informed decision and a trajectory to promote sustainable development. According to him, if groundwater is not regulated with increasing population over an exploitation, water quantity will diminish.
The Commission has to put a lot of things in place in order to ensure that the guidelines are effective. It's not enough only to put guidelines in place, but they must be ensured that they are effective so as to meet the purpose for which they were put in place. And one of the ways is kind of forum that they have been organized. And then the need to make the people understand that this is for their own benefit.
The event had in attendance representatives from the academia, regulators, private sector, civil society organizations, United Nations Global Impact, among others. Operatives of the Lagos State Task Force have apprehended 51 notorious members of a highway gang known for harassing truck drivers along the Apapa Oshodi and Lagos Badagry Expressway. Chairman of the agency, Shola Jejeloye, who led the operation, expressed disgust at the manner in which these set of miscreants wreak unnecessary havoc on the highways in the name of parks and garages, despite the official pronouncement on the ban on the activities of the agency late last year. Jejeloye revealed that the 51 apprehended suspects have been charged to court, where 8 out of them pleaded guilty and were sentenced to 7 months imprisonment with an option of 65,000 naira fine. It said the remaining 43 pleaded not guilty and their hearing has been adjourned to 1st of March 2024. Jejeloye issued a stern warning to others engaged in acts of impersonation and extortion, urging them to desist or risk being prosecuted, adding that the state government remains committed to ensuring the safety and efficiency of transportation networks within the state as enshrined in the Themes Plus agenda. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has urged airline operators to obtain updated weather report and forecast from the agency to facilitate effective planning and decision-making in their operations. This is after NIMET issued a forecast for 3 days of dust haze across the country, spanning from Tuesday to Thursday. According to the report, dense dust haze is expected to significantly reduce horizontal visibility to 1 kilometer or less in the northern region on Tuesday. The forecast also projected moderate dust haze with a horizontal visibility range of 1 kilometer to 3 kilometer and localized visibility of less than or equal to 1 kilometer over the north, central and southern regions during the forecast period. For Wednesday, thick dust haze is expected to reduce horizontal visibility to 1 kilometer or less in the northern region and north central state within the forecast period. For Thursday, NIMET projected the persistence of thick to moderate dust haze with reduced horizontal visibility to 1 kilometer or less in the north and north central regions during the forecast period. The agency also urged the public to use face masks where possible and amid concerns about the impact of suspended dust on respiratory health, particularly for those with pre-existing conditions. And now to other stories. The federal government has expressed concern over the continuous rise in the prices of food and other commodities, prompting protests in Niger and Kano State. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy Olawale Edun stated this while addressing a bilateral meeting with a visiting German delegation led by the country's Minister of Economy, Cooperation and Development, Venture Shows in Abuja. Edun explained that the situation, which has sparked growing discontent among the citizenry, is driven by the forces of the demand and supply in the country. He said the only way to address the situation is to boost agricultural production, in particular to force down inflation. And while the House of Representatives has urged the federal government to immediately open the grain reserves and distribute grains to needy Nigerians, the lawmakers said this is to tackle the hunger in the land. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion of national urgent importance moved by the member representing Ifo, Iwekuru Federal Constituency, Ogun State, Ibrahim Isiaka. Leading the debate, Isiaka noted that the cost of living has become very difficult for Nigerians, even as he lamented the rise in the cost of cement, even though the country has all the raw materials for the production. He also called on the Apex government to boost food production and distribution. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, says the FCT Civil Service Commission will commence operation soon. Wike stated this while inaugurating the construction of a 5-kilometer dual carriageway in Kuje area council of the FCT. He said the development would be the first in the history of the territory in line with the provisions of the FCT Civil Service Commission Law 2018. According to Wiki, the Civil Service Commission, when established, would allow career progression for civil servants in the FCT administration to become permanent secretaries. In foreign news, 4 suspects have been arraigned in court in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, over a gas explosion that killed 6 people and injured nearly 300 others. A lorry carrying gas cylinders blew up just before midnight in a densely populated area of the city last Thursday, causing several fires. The main suspect, the tenant of the property where the blast happened, surrendered to the police on Monday. Derek Kimasi has denied any wrongdoing, but he appeared at the Milimani Law Court along with 3 officials of the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA. They are yet to be charged, but the authorities are considering bringing several charges against them, including murder, abuse of office, and negligence resulting in harm. Their court arraignment comes days after President William Ruto ordered the arrest and prosecution of government officials who allowed the gas plant to illegally operate in a residential area. In sport now, Nigeria's Victor Osimhen has been cleared to face the Bafana of South Africa on Wednesday's semi-final clash at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. Osimhen was a major doubt for the game after failing to travel with the rest of the team to Burke on Monday night due to abdominal discomfort. Head coach Jose Pesero failed to offer assurance on the Napoli forward's availability for the game during his pre-match press conference earlier today. Meanwhile, later reports say Osimhen is on his way to Burke to join his teammates. The 25-year-old has scored 1 goal and registered 1 assist in 5 appearances for the Super Eagles at the ongoing 2023 finals. The Super Eagles players will have their final training session ahead of the game against the Bafana at Stade Annex Burke later tonight. And that's it on the news at 6, but just before we go, ensure the registration mark on your vehicle is clear and visible at all times. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms: X, formerly Twitter, Lagos Traffic 961, Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961, watch us live on Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, on YouTube. Subscribe and watch all the previous programs and news on our channel, Traffic Radio 961. Did you know that the Sanwo-Olu administration provided 450,000 pupils with e-learning devices? You can get more details on the Lagos State Government website. To end the news, here are the highlights of the major stories. To avoid the depletion of groundwater resources and for effective water governance, management and regulations, the Lagos State Government has organized the stakeholders' engagement to protect the sector. The federal government has expressed concern over the continuous rise in the prices of food and other commodities, prompting protests in Niger and Kano State. We also told you that 4 suspects have been arraigned in court in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, over a gas explosion that killed 6 people and injured nearly 300 others. And finally, in sport, Nigeria's Victor Osimhen has been cleared to face the Bafana of South Africa in Wednesday's semi-final clash at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. For contacts with the newsroom, send a message to Lagos Traffic Radio at lagosstate.gov.ng. That ends the news broadcast compiled by Adewale Oluokoroku. I am Taiwo Baruwa. Thank you for listening. Good evening.